Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
You're a Negro.
No.
I am your teacher. You are a Negro.
No.
Suppose I threatened to beat you. What would you say? Aren't you a Negro now?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket. Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This dollar. And if you don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yes.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yes.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro.
Hey, how's y'all doing, everybody? Again, this is your host, Whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to Black Minds News Live Report. First and foremost, I want to say, what's good to the fam? Happy to be in the house. Glad to see that y'all had some time to stop by. Black Mind News always tip our hat off to you. Thank you kindly for coming over here, giving your likes, sharing, and everything else. Dislike, how you ever want to do it. Pass it by, you want to pass by. This is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Been in the business for a while, but you couldn't tell. We go down the aisle. We got some little bit of update. We've been coming on a little recently. Happen to see something to make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. Today's date is March 7, 2021. And, seeing some things in the news as I always do. And we about ready to get this going. You ready today? You got it ready? Yeah, we're gonna see, right? All right, so let's see. I'll show that thumbnail, right? So today's date again is March 7, 2021. Our blood, their property. Let me say that again. Our blood, their property. Huh? So we're going to touch on some of that today because seen some things recently that seems to apply, that things that seem to be in our likeness, our image, family lineage. People make money off of us, but when it comes for our share and our cut, find ways legally, or I guess you could say legally, lawfully, to find a way to make sure that we don't get our cut, as if the mantra says that we supposed to be emancipated, but I guess we find out later as we go on if that's really as true as they say. So let's get into today's show, right? So how about this? Before we go ahead and start this off, I think you got a feedback back there, sir. Turn it down a little bit. There you go. There you go. All right, so for somebody who may come by me thinking, well, what are you talking about, Mr. Blow Your Mind? What are you talking about? Well, let's put it like this. What if somebody may say, you're always talking about racism and all that other good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't, if this stuff doesn't exist. Well, what if I go and got somebody who maybe you learned where racism in this country, at least that's the way it was depicted. That's how many of us learn, other than if we got some teaching from at home and things like that. What if he comes out and says it, right? What if LeVar Burton comes out? That's, AKA, right? AKA, as known as, who? Kunta Kinte, right? That's Kunta Kinte, right? Now, if Kunta Kinte come out and says the country is still dealing with issues rooted in slavery, who gonna deny the fact that Kunta Kinte done said it? Now, Kunta Kinte said this, right? Now, okay, so here you go with that again, right? Now, again, remember he was a cast, all-star cast, came the face of the miniseries, began with the kidnapping and enslavement of the Mandinka tribesmen, Kunta Kinte, right? That was his role that brought him out, what he was known for. So it's kind of like, sometimes you play roles, they say set type, set type, right? He played that role, pretty much never could get out that role, and then later he got into some other roles, and I'm going to show you the connection, because we're talking about our blood and their property, right? So, he was talking about how slavery still exists today, mass incarceration of young men of color, relationship between black community and the law enforcement, and all the social issues rooted in slavery. America is still grappling with that, right? So a man like him saying that, right, who are we to argue with? Remember, that's Kunta Kinte, right? Kunta Kinte said that, right? Now, Kunta Kinte also, right, let's, for those who don't remember, right, that's Kunta Kinte, and he was Lieutenant Commander Gerard D. LaFord from Star Trek, right? From the plantation to in outer space. Right, let me say that again. From the plantation to outer space. Now, a man done come from the plantation that went to outer space. If he don't know that something ain't true, then who else is to tell us? Huh? He was from the plantation that's Kunta Kinte, and then he ended up being you see what he got on his eyes, right? He was being who he is, but he can't see, right? He can't see, right? Okay, but that's who he is, right? Right? And the same individual, right? Now we take the same individual. He also is a cat that is played dummy. Y'all remember seeing that back in the day, 1979 when that came out? Dummy. And he played as a deaf mute. Somehow got accused of being like a murder or something. Put him in jail. And, he couldn't respond, couldn't talk. And then they did some things in there. He couldn't talk. And those who seen him, right? He was doing that, right? Because he couldn't talk, right? Anyway, but the same dummy is rainbow reading, right? See that image and likeness, right? See how they use that? From the plantation to outer space. Then he was a dummy till he's reading the rainbow, right? Oh, okay. So there's something into this what I'm talking about, right? The image and likeness that people use to make money off of us may sometimes don't see it in that way, in that light, right? So, one of our ancestors, he said this, I got to go there with that, right? Because you know how some people thinking when they hear this. Now, Booker T. Washington is quoted as saying in 1911 this: "There's a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievance because they do not want to lose their jobs." So is that true? Do those in the black corner, is that what we do? We take these situations, we bring media, information to people of all sorts of colors, right? It's like Neapolitan ice cream, you got the chocolate section, you got your vanilla section, and you got your strawberry section, right? Now, to each his own of your own preference. Sometimes some people like all three of them. Some just like they like the chocolate, someone like the vanilla, and someone like the strawberry, right? Whatever floats your boat. But it's EEOC over here, even though we are Black Minds News. Anybody can come over here and listen, participate, like, dislike, and all that other good stuff. That's to your own liking and taste. So my thing is, people think that we take these things and we purport these things to make it seem like we just making these things up. Now again, Kunta Kinte, right? Kunta Kinte said these things, right? So who's to argue with that, right? who is to argue when Kunta Kinte says something like that? So let's go ahead and let's get ready to get into some of this other stuff that I had seen out here on the news here. You ready to do that? Let's take that break and then come on back. Check this. I'll be right back, y'all.
Emily, good evening. These images of 2 African slaves are stored in a museum here at Harvard. They are nearly 170 years old. Now, Harvard used these pictures in a book that it published more than 30 years ago, and it currently sells that book for $40 a copy. In 1850, Harvard paid a photographer to take the pictures of a South Carolina slave named Renty and his daughter Delia. The pictures were for a scientist who was trying to show black people are 2 separate species, a racist theory that's long since been rejected. The woman filing today's lawsuit, Tamara Lanier, says she is the great-great-great-granddaughter of Renty.
My mom tells stories of her grandfather, who was also called Renty. His name was Renty Taylor Thompson. But my mom got those stories from him, and he was the grandson of the Renty in the image.
Lanier says she has repeatedly asked Harvard to turn over the pictures, only to be ignored. She says if she wins in court, she will use the images to tell the story of her ancestors. She also wants an unspecified amount in damages. Harvard says it has not yet seen the lawsuit, and so therefore it cannot yet comment. Live in Cambridge, David Beanick, WCV.
All right. A judge ruled photos of enslaved individuals belong to Harvard, not their direct descendants. Let me say that again. A judge ruled photos of enslaved individuals belong to Harvard, not their descendants. Okay? As you've seen in the video there, you've seen that sister that you see in that picture there, that she was, got a lawsuit going on, trying to, recoup based on the fact that this seems like somebody's making money, and just the likeness and image of her ancestry. She's trying to fight to recapture that, right? Now, she is a direct descendant. What they try to say, the man and woman, they don't want to specify the name. But they said it is the earliest known photographs of enslaved people that does not have a property interest in the image, right? The earliest known photographs of enslaved people does not have a property interest in the image. But it is owned by Harvard University. Now, a judge had ruled on Tuesday that the picture and the likeness of that, there's no interest, and that Harvard owns it, right? Okay. Now, the sister that you see on your screen there, her name is Tamara Lanier. She's 58 years old. And she sought after to do this lawsuit with Harvard back in March of 2019 for wrongful seizures, right? Wrongful seizure. We're going to look into that wrongful seizure, right? That so-called, what that is, right? But it's about possession and explorations of the image, right? She is arguing that she is the great-great-great-grandfather, which is, I will show you the image. Can we show that? Show that one instead. Yeah, that one. All right, show the image, right? Okay, that's the ancestors of hers, right? And that's Renty and his daughter Delilah. And she said, is quoted as they remained enslaved by the university, right? And so they are fully acknowledging the continuing impact slavery has had in the United States, the law as it currently stands does not confer a property interest to the subject of a photograph regardless of how objectionable the photograph origin may be. And that was by Justice Camille Surratt, in order dismissing the case, right? So let's look at something here, right? Let me, remember they had said in here wrongful seizure, now, right? Let's go ahead and show this up on the screen for me there, sir. Yeah, show that up on the screen there, because that's where we're going to go, right? So that's according to this, right? 28 United States Code, Section 2465, return of property to claimant, liability for wrongful seizure, attorney fees, costs, and interest, right? That is the law that is going to talk about this. So I want to look a little bit at this, right? Let's see what's in here. Now, again, this is for, not a lawyer, but this is just for news purpose sakes, right? Let me make that disclaimer there. Now, let's go ahead. Let me tell you something to talk about in this here, right? So it says, upon the entry of a judgment from the claimant in any proceeding to condemn or forfeit property seized or arrest under any provision of federal law. That's Section A. Section A.1 says, such property shall be returned forthwith to the claimant or his agent. And 2, if it appears that these were reasonable cause for the seizure or arrest, the court shall cause a proper certificate thereof to be entered, and in case of neither the person who made the seizure or arrest nor the prosecutor shall be liable to suit or judgment on account of such suit or prosecution, nor shall the claimant be entitled to costs except as provided in subsection B. What part in that part? Let's go back. Hold on. Okay, so reasonable cause, right? There's one part to talk about in that Section 2. Everything else so far I need, but I see reasonable cause. Then that second part of it says, neither the person who made the seizure shall be liable to suit or judgment on account of such suits, nor shall the claimant be entitled to costs except as provided in subsection. Okay. All right, so let's go on. Section B.1 says this, except as provided in the paragraph. 2, in any civil proceeding or to forfeit property under any provision of federal law in which the claimant substantially prevails, United States shall be liable for A, reasonable attorney fees and other litigation costs, reasonable incurred by the claimant. B, post-judgment interest as set forth in Section 1961 of this title. And C, in case involving currency, other negotiable instruments, or proceeds of any intercalatory sales. I, Section C.I., interest actually paid to the United States from the date of seizure or arrest of the property that resulted from the investment of property and the interest bearing account of instrument and. Okay? Is there another part? I think there's another there. Yeah, one more, two. Okay, so an I on this is an imputed amount of interest that such currency, instruments, or proceeds would have earned at the rate applicable to the 30-day Treasury bill for any period during which no interest was paid, not including any period when the property reasonably was in use as evidence in an official proceeding or in conducting scientific tests for the purpose of collecting evidence, commencing 15 days after the property was seized by the federal law enforcement agency or was turned over to the federal law enforcement agency by a state or local law enforcement agency. 2A is United States shall not be required to disgorge the value of any intangible benefits nor make any other payments to the claimant not specifically authorized by this section. B, the provisions of the paragraph 1 shall not apply if the claimant is convicted of a crime for which the interest of the claimant in the property was subject to forfeitures under a federal criminal forfeiture law. C, if there are multiple claims to the same property, the United States shall not be liable for costs and attorneys' fees associated with any such claims. If the United States, I, properly recognize such claims, I, properly return the interest of the claimant in the property to the claimant. If the property can be divided without difficulty and there are no competing claims, to that portion of the property. Triple I does not cause the claimant and incur additional reasonable costs or fees. 4. Prevails in obtaining forfeitures with respects to one or more of the other claimants or claims, right? And D, finally, if the court enters judgment in part of the claimant and in part for the government, the court shall reduce the award of costs and attorney fees accordingly, right? So that's what they were saying, and that's the law dealing with wrongful seizures, right? That's what they talking about, right? Now, let's look at this. Go back. Yeah, you can put that picture back up there. Yeah, put the picture back up there, because right, because that's from them, right? Okay, there you go. So, according to the mumbo jumbo that I was reading, right? I'm talking about forfeiture. Now, if you're in that situation, all that gonna make some sense, or need to make some sense to you, right? But there's another sense there. Doesn't that kind of apply to us as well? We property, right? Not paying somebody, right? All that just legal jargon somehow pertains a little bit to us as well, right? Then the position we have come from. So let me show you some more about this, right? So, you there? Go. Okay, go back to 3. Okay, 4. Okay, now. What they're saying here is the enslaved African man named Renty and his daughter Delia were forced to pose for image commissioned by a Swiss-born Harvard professor in 1850. According to the lawsuit, the daguerreotypes, D-A-G-U-E-R-R-E-O types, an early type of photo produced on a silver or silver-covered copper plate, were commissioned in 1850 by Harvard professor Louis Agassiz, espoused a theory that African and African Americans were inferior to white people. Let me say that again. The daguerreotype, early type of photos produced on silver or silver-covered copper plates, commissioned in 1850 by Harvard professor Louis Agassiz, espoused a theory that African and African Americans were inferior to white people. Okay? He was named head of Harvard newly created Lawrence School of Science. He was an advocate of polygynism. Polygynism, right? What is polygynism? Y'all want to know what polygynism? I know you do, right? You got to get the understanding of where they're coming from, and saying people be talking to us, and they be saying things, right? So polygynism is this: it's a theory of human origins where positives the view that the human race are of different origins, right? Yeah, we don't all come from one place. That's what they were saying, right? Now the view is opposite to the ideal of monogenism, right, which posits a single origin of humanity. Modern scientific view no longer favor the polygenic model, right? They say they don't, right? They say, we all come from one, right? So now, with the monogenic out of Africa hypothesis and its variance being the most widely accepted model for human origins, historically, polygynism has been used to advance racial inequalities, right? But you also got to know that the fact that when they talk about this polygynism, it also is talking about the dogma of the origin of sin, right? This is all correlated together, right? And this original sin comes from Augustine Christian doctrine that everyone is born sinful, right? Born sinful. They are born with a built-in urge to do bad things and to disobey God. It's an important doctrine within the Roman Catholic Church, they say, right? Now, let's look at that polygynism and monogenism, right? Coming out of one. They're going back to substantiate when they make these type of pictures that you see. They were saying that, those who have read was it Nature? What is that by? What's his name? I got the book. I can't even think of the name of it on top. But again, we devolve out of animals, and then they are the evolutionary part that they above. You know what I'm saying? This is this mindset here, right? That we come out of the animals, and the evolutionist part, they didn't come out of that. They was the finished product, right? And they were trying to substantiate all this, right? In some ways, it's still prevalent in some of the ideology that people and the way they look at it and how sometimes they be saying things to us, right? So, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff be in these things that you be reading, and so that's why you got to sometimes go in there and dig in there and say, what the hell they really talking about, right? That's what they talking about in there, right? And so, go back to that. So you can pull that picture up there, right? So, so when they named him as the head of the Lawrence School of Science, right? This cat that's the one that ended up making this daguerreotypes. So her suit is based on the fact that they used to justify enslavement of black people based on this Polygynism ideal, right? And their segregation of us, right? And so they're saying that the complaint that she's making is that the image offers celebrity status and scientific legitimacy to the poisonous myth of white racial superiority, champion the vital importance of separation of races, right? I understand you got to do that for your legality part, right? You got to substantiate some kind of foundation of why you're trying to fight, right? We get that, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? We understand that, right? Now, accordingly, they say there was 40 of Agassiz direct descendants. Now, Agassiz, remember, is the one. Now, remember, he's not the one that's creating the daguerreo. I think he's the one that was the creating of Harvard, right? He was the one of the Lawrence School of Science. And it was his idea that he was using his picture for. But they found that there was about 40 of his ancestors who signed a letter saying that it is time for Harvard to recognize Renty and Delilah as people and return the image to Miss Lanier, right? You show her? Would you put her up there on the screen for me there, right? Give her, you know, she trying to do what she doing, right? So go ahead and put that up there. Right? That was her, Tamara Lanier, right? So what they go on to talk about is Harvard did not dispute Lanier's ancestral claim in this motion to dismiss. So they're not saying that she is not, you know, the relative, that is not her people's. They're not going to deny that. They're not gonna even bother to fight with you with that. But they said that her claims are barred by statute of limitations. She has neither a property interest nor legal standing. Let me say that again. She has neither a property interest nor legal standing. But accordingly, she's going to appeal this ruling, calling Harvard's legal argument unjust and inhumane on so many levels. It's not simply a dispute between a photograph and his subjects, the center of plunders of slavery. Plunders of slavery. Okay? Renty and Delilah are victims of a crime. Okay? And so they think that Harvard just, how they're treated, and not only just Renty and the rest of their family, but also his legacy, his rich cultural history. It is they say it's a confirmation that they devalue black lives, and that she hopes Harvard will still do the right thing, supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, right? In the past, they make statements about that. But she says at this point she thinks that Harvard is exposed for the hypocrisies of their ties with slavery and how they come to reckon with it by doing what they did, right? So they making the saying that, well, okay, the person who took the picture, right? The person who took, let me go back and show that. Go back and show them. Go back and show them. Show them, right? Person who took the picture, and who that is, that's their property. Doesn't matter about your image being on it. Can you believe that? That your likeness, image of your ancestry that you can prove, but you're saying, well, that property that really don't belong to them. Well, we can't really do anything about it because that's the way the laws are. Well, you know, a lot of these laws are outdated, right? It's kind of like thinking about when you think of what's his name? When we were talking about going back and I can't think of his name either, right? I can't think of his name off that. But anyway, it'll come to me. But when you think about that, how they substantiate saying that there's no law that a white man is bound to, right? That whole thing, right? No one's ever gone back to fight that, right? No one's ever gone back to fight that. And he died off. So those on the book, but what they did is they tried to circumnavigate around it by coming up with the 13th, 14th Amendment, but never really addressed the Dred Scott. That's it. The Dred Scott situation, right? And those who are avid watchers over here, we talked about the Dred Scott situation, right? He never dealt with that. So no one's never gone back to actually fight that. So in some sense, and again, I had showed you where there was a governor who from Utah had said that the Dred Scott situation is still the law of the land. So what did he mean by that, right? So as they showed on here. But let's just look at this. Are they making, according to, remember when I read about the seizures, right? The law about the seizures of property? Are they making money off of this? Are they making money? Let's look. Because see, they acting as if they're not making any money off of it. They're saying, well, no, it's just a picture, right? That's inside of a book. So I think the book was $40 at one time. I don't know what it is right now, right? So you're making profits off of their image and their likeness, right? But here's the family, kind of like Henrietta Lacks, right? The same thing they did with her, right? Got using all this science when it comes to her biological makeup, her genes, and got in so many things, and we don't even know what they really done with it and how they utilize that to be weaponized against them. How do we know? We don't know that, right? So, you know, here's one of the books, From Sight to Sight. You got them on the cover there, right? Stand right there, right? It's in the museum. They're showing it was in the museum there. So you're making money off of it. You won't dispute the fact that she can't prove that she is a relative. So how did you dismiss it? Well, they say, well, this particular court can't do it. So what you're going to do is get somebody with the legislation in another court to proceed, and then maybe they'll do it, right? But it won't be done. Right? So they dismissed the case. Think about that. You know, likeness, image. I mean, when you think about, like, you say, like, look at this. Remember Michael Jordan, right? Not that he's gone or anything, but I'm just saying Michael Jordan. Now, you know, the logo of Jordan on the Jordans, right? But Michael Jordan has sold his image and likeness before he became the Michael Jordan not that way he is now. We're going to say in the day before he exploded. Because remember, when he got that first contract for 10 years for like maybe $900,000. So think about that, 10 years at $900,000. But he was basically, took what Bill Cosby used to be, like the huckster, which is he was selling products, everything he was on, from General Mills to Gatorade to Coca-Cola, all that stuff was selling out. And then he brought Phil Knight from out of selling shoes out of his back of his trunk to everybody was wearing Jordan, paying $110 when they first came out and all that other stuff, right? But he had sold his image, his name, and that logo before he blew up. So that's why when you look at the end of on the last end of his run on the Bulls, they gave him the $50 million, right? They started, the NBA finally paid him because they got 10 years. But look how much money they've sold out every way he went. All those jerseys, you know what I'm saying? He didn't really get the money. Now, you notice, have you ever always noticed that when every time you searching and looking on the internet and you're looking at stuff, they're always showing you Michael Jordan and his $1 billion and what he got. Yeah, he might got $1 billion, maybe $2 billion. But how much revenue did he really make? And how did he get stuck in contracts? And then when he realized that he had already sold out his image and likeness and his name, he tried to make Jump 23. Remember that? No, that never got off the ground because that was his. Didn't get off the ground, right? You had already gave your blueprint and your likeness. You gave the money away. Right? Unbeknownst to him at the time. And I'm just saying, that's how it goes, right? This game is a cold game. And so you're looking at it here in this situation here. And to have your relatives posted and plastered as if, who's benefiting from that? Like I say, Henry Lex, we probably go down a lot, especially when we talk about the music industry and all that. A lot of people don't never get to really hold. And look when Prince, he did all that fighting for his likeness, right? To own his, and then what happened? He dies mysteriously, right? You know how it goes, right? So I just want to say, man, hey, we got, our blood. It's our blood, right? But their property. So in some sense, are we still property? That's what we got to look at. Do you really own? Because, even when you start understanding the game about what they call it, your straw man, right? Like, you, the flesh and blood, but your straw man is your corporation that takes precedence over you, the flesh and blood, right? Your mail comes in all caps, right? Because you are, you speak on behalf of the corporation. The person don't exist until you go back and undo what your parents, lack of knowledge, didn't know by signing. You get what I'm saying? Sign that birth certificate, signs you over your likeness and properties and all that towards the state. So we are property. Might be your blood, but you know how they treat us from the rootin' to the tootin', right? All right. So anyway, we're going to move on with that. But the thing is, people making money off of you, but if you come to claim, they're going to always find some kind of legislation, some kind of law to prohibit you or some deal you made that doesn't prohibit them from gaining and being profitable on the air. Well, we'll see. Check this out. I'll be right back. I'll get another one for you.
Some perspective on what this George Floyd movement is all about.
That is something that Michael Brown Sr. can provide. A police officer in Ferguson, Missouri shot and killed his son. Yesterday, he sat down with WCCO's Norman C. Wright.
I got it. Like they told me, it's a fraternity that nobody want to be in, and we're in that fraternity. So just being a support for the family, because it was passed on to me to know how to just get out here and just talk to people that's hurting, that feel the same pain that I feel, and that's my job. That's what I have to do.
Michael Brown Sr.'s life changed on August 9th, 2014, when his son was killed by a Ferguson, Missouri police officer. Almost 6 years later,
we still get death threats. hate mail. It comes with the territory.
The unrest in the Twin Cities is all too familiar.
What do you see when you look around this community right now?
I see a lot of pain.
What's his name? What's his name? Brown's noted a real sense of unity. Not black against white, but everyone against racism.
When it all comes down to us uniting and getting things done, people get it. They find their position. They know what they need to do, and they come in to help to push it. It's just all about not stepping on everybody's toes, because you got leaders, you got people that understand what to do, how to do it.
The process toward healing and justice is not perfect.
I think he was a little quick on that. Yeah, he was a little quick on that. I don't know. Should I give... somebody in here hating. You can hate all you want. Why you keep coming over here for? You come over here just to hate. That just go to show you who you are. I'll put the phone number, let you call in. You willing to do that? You that put the dislike. Is you still in here? I'll put the phone number up and you can call. We can talk before everybody. How about that? Are you good on that? I know you know. I already know who he is. It don't matter. But anyway, do I need to replay that? Do y'all need a replay? Somebody tell me to replay or not. Because my man, he cut that a little short. See Leonard the Unit in the house. Y'all Abdul Kabir in the house. What's good, brothers, as well? Okay, I guess everybody might be good at that. But anyway, we see that we're coming for what we deserve. Michael Brown's father, Ferguson, the activist, demand $20 million after Black Lives Matter group revealed it raised over $90 million last year. Right? Let me say that again. We're coming for what we deserve. Michael Brown's father, Ferguson activist, demands $20 million after Black Lives Matter group reveals it raised over $90 million last year, right? Some of y'all probably done heard this already, but Michael Brown Sr., as you've seen in the video, and I apologize for cutting short on that. My man did a little too soon, but that's all right. He is the father of Michael Brown Jr., who was fatally shot by a police officer back in 2014. And so he's demanding financial support for the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation after the organization revealed last month that it raised more than $90 million in 2020. So where's all that money going? Right? So he had a press release he shared with the International Black Freedom Alliance. And they had collaborated, together with him to request the $20 million from the organization, while he's seen as a steward of the Black Lives Matter movement, right? So let me show you a little bit this organization that he's dealing with, right? You cut short on that one, man. Yeah, you cut short on it. What's going on with you? All right, so there's Michael Brown Sr. there, right? But let's look at this organization that he's dealing with. Let's go in there, right? That's the one you want to go with? No, go to that other one. We're gonna go to that too, right? That one, that's fine. How about that one? Okay. Okay. Now, my man, he low off today, y'all. I apologize for that, my man off. All right, so you see on there, this Black Liberation Vision is a great movement, starts with a dream. Now, this is the organization that he's actually dealing with, that he's did this press release with. They called the International Black Freedom Alliance. And I went and looked up some of the stuff and see what they were talking about, because I never heard of them either, but they just started up in 2016, as you can see on your screen there. There's some of the stuff they're talking about: knowledge of self, trust, power, courage, unity, clarity, training, love, resources, accountability, right? Power, building a movement, right? Ain't nothing wrong with none of that, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. On here, in this other part here, what he got up in here, it says, so some of the other stuff they showed up on the organization here, right? Now they say Rastafarianism, Ujamaa, radical feminist, spiritual, abolitionist, socialist, black nationalism, Pan-Africanism, Marxist, anarchists, liberation theology, wominists, right? So these are all those who are Ubuntu, right? That's, I guess, those are collecting all groups together to formulate whatever, I guess this is, they're about, this international group, right? And what was the other one? I think it was another one, right? Yeah, right? And show some things about play your own role. In Asia, they speak black empowerment, spread black love. In Australia, reclaim our blackness, spread our culture, reclaim our land. In North America, dismantle white supremacy, disrupt white supremacy, racist, or resist white supremacy. In Europe, it says build black, protect black. Africa, end colonization, and xenophobia, and imperialism. And South America, occupy, resist, and produce, right? So this is a group that he is uniting himself with when he went out there to speak these things, and that's the organization that was side by side with him, right? Now, when you think about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, right? Because that's who he's trying to get that money from, right? Because he said that after y'all released that report and he found out that there was $90 million, and like, wait a minute, hold on. You know, where's our cut at? Where I share it, right? So, go over there. Yeah. Yeah, you very off today, sir. Okay, go over there. Okay, so in here it's talking about that Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is a decentralized organization. Decentralized, right? Decentralized, right? Now, decentralized is a type of organizational structure. Now, this is how it works. The daily operations, decision-making responsibilities are delegated by top management to middle and lower level managers to free up the top management to focus more on the major decisions. So there's a hierarchy in this, right? There's like a pyramid structure inside of the Black Lives Matter organization, right? So they say decentralize an organization with multiple chapters based in various cities dedicated to organizing and continue activities in Black Lives Matter movement. The organization has no leader. Wait a minute, hold on. The organization has no leader. And most chapters are very autonomously, or, right, act very autonomously, right? So wait a minute, you don't got no leader, but you got structure. Y'all getting money. Okay. It's often mistaken for other organizations in the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Everybody using the moniker, right? Black Lives Matter, BLM. So there's different variations of them, and then there's the original one, right? So again, many people employ the phrase Black Lives Matter as its name. Again, it's not the sole organization within the broader Black Lives Matter social movement. Now, this being a social movement, they can't. Now, again, I'm going to give you the backdrop how they said they came up with this whole thing, right? Now, again, everybody said this organization was found by 3 females back in 2013, right? They say they're activists, right? And that they serve as a loose network of activists within the Black Lives Matter movement. The organization is international. Wait a minute. International. You got no leader. You're decentralized, so you got a tier, but nobody. Wait a minute. How this? Wait a minute, man. I mean, how this working? Right? Right? Everybody pretty much know the names of the ones: Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, Ope Tometi, right? Those are the 3 women that supposedly they founded it, right? And when you go back to the history of this is coming around after 2013 when you talk about George Zimmerman, the killing of Trayvon Martin, right? So that Alicia Garza, who was an activist, right? Supposedly, just the way the story goes, she wake up, she had nightmares, crying, waking up, and got emotional about it, got on Facebook, did a post, right? And she posted Black Lives Matter, right, to inspire. And then to say her friend Patrice created the hashtag Black Lives Matter. They even got a date for that, right? So I guess if anybody can say they have it before July 15th of 2013, then they can claim it. But she is the origin of it, right? And so what they did is they reached out to the other girl, that Ope Tomei, and she helped to establish, they created Tumblr, and then they got a Twitter account and using the hashtag and sharing all these relevant personal stories, right? And somehow this one goes on Rodale Drive in Beverly Hills with the slogan on her sign. Rodale, well, niggas said that in Rodale Drive. Really? Okay, but anyway. So this slogan and hashtag became popular, right? So the first chapter of Black Lives Matter, right, was originated, they said, in Los Angeles, right? Started with about 30 people, with artists, students, and organizers, okay? And so in 2014, as we're talking about here with Ferguson, with the Michael Brown situation, the three of the founders, got together and they decided they're going to go to Ferguson's, right? They're going to create what they call the Freedom Rides. So what they did, put an APB out for about 500 people to sign up, travel with them, let's go to Ferguson. And they was going to be there throughout the whole Ferguson protest. Adopt the slogan of Black Lives Matter, right? An organization involvement in the protests of Ferguson, the slogan popularity brought the organization to Black Lives Movement and the national attention. So it was through this time, not during Trayvon Martin's. We're not to discredit that. What we're saying is, and this is what Michael Brown's father is saying, it was when you came to Ferguson that united and blew y'all up and used his son and his likeness and what happened to him to bring your organization to where it is today. And so now this is what you see him talking about. He's saying, okay, now with all that being said and done, where is, right? Where he said, okay, y'all raised all this $90 million that I see that came out on the video that February 26th of 2021. All right. And so he's accusing the organization of forsaking activists who had given their lives to the struggle against racism and police brutality. Right. That's what he's saying. Now, we went out here and put ourselves on the line for an organization, but listen to how they structure that. Okay, you got a pyramid, right? We go, right, decentralized from the top, trickle down. So we got top, middle, and bottom, we send it down and stuff, but ain't no damn leader. You got founders, so where this money? Who getting the money? Who's controlling this, right? So they had been hiding this for a while, right? So a lot of people was like, hey, man, what's going on with this, man? Where this money at, right? And so you see they just saying that all they want to do, they want to hold Black Lives Matter accountable. They said the movement has catapulted into the limelight and has forgotten about Ferguson. And they say the freedom fighters, those who all participated when you came in 2014. A lot of them, and there's some stories that ain't even been told about what done went in Ferguson, but they said a lot of people who sacrificed their lives for the movement, they're rarely spoken of, families are not taken care of. A lot of them became political prisoners. Some of them still remain incarcerated and have not received any assistance from the organization whatsoever, right? So, he's sitting there saying, hey, hold on, man, what's going on with this, man? So he's saying, what kind of movement are we building when we saying Black Lives Matter, freedom fighters and families, and they are being left behind? So he's demanding that the Black Lives Matter provide $20 million to fund local Ferguson organizations. And he said, like Martin Luther King said, we coming to get our check. He said, we coming for what we deserve, right? $90 million. Can you believe you part of something, $90 million? And people was getting some money, but let me tell you how it goes. So they say the Black Lives Matter Foundation ended in 2020 with a balance of $60 million. Now, see, they saying 60, right? But they're saying it's 90. Damn, that's $30 million y'all ain't getting. Where that $30 million go? But then we're going to move on, right? So they said they were spending about a quarter of its assets on grants and charitable givings. What do you mean charitable givings? What do you mean charitable givings? Right? Black community, is that money going in black communities? Is that what the charitable giving is going? Is it going to help some of the structures and some of the organizations and the people in them communities? And what communities? Right? Let's check this out. So they said the organization committed about $21.7 million in funding for officials and unofficial chapters of Black Lives Matter. 21.7. That still leaves about $68 million. But they saying 60. That's what 90. Well, 60, you're going to be still about 39 million. Okay. So they said 30 black-led organizations, 23 which were led by black LGBTQ people. Oh, 23 of them. They got a lot of the dough, didn't they? The LGBTQ. The black, by black. They say by black. Really? Again, we not against our family members who your sexual preference is that. But sometimes I done jumped off and they would rather be on their sexual preference than they is about being black. But boy, when they come about getting that cash, most know how to get in line to get that, right? They put that black first on the LGBT, right? Black, they say black LGBTQ. They put black first to get that cash. But when it comes to being in this struggle, the alphabet first, black last. I'm not saying all. And they say now these groups that did of these 23, they got about 6-figure grant. So they had to apply for a grant to get the money into 6 figures. So 100,000 plus. Anything 6 figures, 100,000 plus, right? So the co-founder, that Patrice Cullors, she had told the AP, she said one of our biggest goals this year is taking the dollars we're able to raise, building out the institutions we've been trying to build. In the last 7.5 years, I did some research earlier about this and then find out that some of that money that was being funded in other places that seemed to be going politically, right? Because they were still waiting on to be accredited. So some way the other money was the way it's being funneled was going somewhere else, right? And you know how it is. People start talking about the money. We're like, hey, where the money at? So I think because of the exposure came out on this, they had to come out with something. But like I said, they say 90, but now they're saying 60. So that means there's about $30 million missing somewhere. Man, about $30 million missing, right? Anyway, so now you're saying that you want to try to build institutions. $90 million, yeah. Some things can be getting done. Right? But we don't see. You just now getting the money. You just now getting there? Okay. So it said individual donations average about $30. 10% were recurring expenses, but 2020 totaled about 8.4 million. Okay, so all right, if you took 8.4 million, okay, your expenses for all that they were doing through Black Lives Matter, they took 8.4. You still got about $82 million left. Where is the money? Right? So we see Russell Brown said the $20 million they are requesting for the organization will go towards annual commemorations around Mike Brown Jr.'s life, the mutual aid program. Then they said this. I was like, okay, you know that's not going to go fair. But anyway, they said the Black Panther style programs. They want to allocate some of that 20 million to the Black Panther style programs and services to meet the needs of the people. I don't know if you should have said that one, but you did what you said they had to do, right? That's what they said. So, yeah, you got to ask yourself, that's a lot of money for not having a head. So you just have an organization that's international. Then y'all say y'all international, but ain't no head. So who's the one who's divvying the money? Who's reallocating? So when you fill out the grant, who's yay and nay in that? See? So, is it a front? Is this a front? You know, and you're getting exposed a little bit. All right. So let's go on. Let me give you some more to this. So it says that they say that 10 local Black Lives Matter chapters penned a letter. Most chapters have received little to no financial support from the Black Lives Matter. And they said last month there were selected chapters appear to have been invited to apply for $500,000 grants. Selected. Now, you know, some people have said that the people who found it and then they're associated with something, as we heard, Black LGBTQ. I wonder if a lot of that money is being funneled over there, right? Again, using our likeness, our blood, our strife for the profit and benefit of other peoples, and we sitting there holding the bag with nothing. So everybody find a way to make sure we don't get nothing out the deal, right? So some people say, well, when you look at black folks and black organizations as a monolith, we got to realize that all of us have different ideas, opinions about black liberation. To hold our leaders accountable is one of the things. But see, the problem is you have to understand what decentralization or decentralized organization is. There is no leader. They got the way it, you know, goes from the top down, but who answer to? Founders, they tell you their story, but again, I remember they was waiting on, they was waiting on something to get the cure so they could get the money, but somebody was getting the money before them. So who was that? Okay, you know. And so again, the Black Lives Matter Global Network released a financial report for the first time in 8 years. It took them 8 years to release a report. Remember, they've been working for 7.5 to even get the money. So who was getting the money? So the report, over $21 million went to officials and unofficial chapters. Right? 30 black-led organizations formed grants funding ended the year with balance of $60 million. But again, $30 million was still missing. Nobody knows where the money went. Nobody knows. So is he right to be saying, hey man, look, based on my son's death, as you heard somewhat in that video before he got chopped, he said, I'm in a fraternity that nobody wants to be in. You don't want to be the fraternity of somebody in your family being killed as a martyr, and then people are taking their likeness and image and plastering it, just like we were talking about with Breonna Taylor, and so many people was making money off her likeness and image just because it was the fad of the moment. So there was a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people that wasn't even us who did that, right? Just like George Floyd and everything. You understand? So it's like our blood, their property. Our blood, but their property. So let me show you this here. For those who may not heard this before. Because I'm going to say this as I get in this. Because remember I did the show a couple days ago. I was talking about when the crash with the 25, I guess Mexicans was in the SUV, right? And how that was bringing some kind of light about immigration and stuff like that. Now this part here that I'm about to say, for those who it may pertain to, right? This is no shot at you per se, but this is just information that we as Black Americans got to understand how this game is being played. Remember, our blood, their property. So this being a place that is primarily, you know, it's like really an international plantation, right? That's what this is, right? International plantation. And so, with that being said, you got to realize that I seen this, right? Talking about Bitcoin, right? You know, a lot of people be talking about that Bitcoin stuff, right? But are you familiar with the Bitcoin most profitable use? The 600 billion overseas remittance business. Remittance. Y'all familiar with remittance business? Remittance. Well, let me tell you a little bit just in case you didn't know, right? We'll take a break and come right back. Check this out. Hold on. We're going to get into this. Don't cut it short this time, sir. All right, so Bitcoin most profitable use, the $600 billion overseas remittance business. Our blood, their property. All right, so for those of you who don't know what remittance is, let me tell you a little something. Okay. Go there. That's fine. Okay, so let's do it this way. All right. So in this story here, it's talking about how the cryptocurrency Bitcoin is facing crackdowns. They say by various governments across the globe, surge in overseas remittance market. Instead of being used as a currency, Bitcoin is increasingly being used as a medium for global money transfers. Allows the users to do away with the high costs of charged by traditional banks and money transfer services. Many people around the world regularly send money to their families and loved ones living far away in their respective native countries. The latest report by the World Bank project that global remittance tops $596 billion in 2017, of which $450 billion was sent to developing nations. India is expected to retain the top spot among remittance recipients with a project figure of $65 billion, while China $63 billion, Philippines $33 billion, Mexico $31 billion, Nigeria $22 billion. Okay. Now the traditional model of remittance works as this. Individuals working in the United States may remit a dollar amount to his home or home country, whether it's in Asia or Africa. And what they do is they use what they call as MTO, which is the money transfer operator. They hand over cash at available exchange rates, and then the MTO, which is again the money transfer operators, start the process and send the money to the designated country. The MTO charge for its service. Now, that sounds innocent, right? Do you see how much money they said they'd be sending, right? And then they get these fees on it, right? So the MTO is only acting as a front agent. The operator has to use the service software system actually provided by a bigger remittance software provider, which is an RSP, right? Like, let's say somebody like Western Union, MoneyGram, okay? Lack of financial capacity, availability of the software system. The MTO, again, which is what? The MTO is the money transfer operator, may only receive a fraction of the charge it takes from the customer. Bulk is pocketed by the RSP. The MTO may also need to pay other regulatory or regular charges for installation, subscription, and system maintenance. Now, the end user, this increases the overall cost for the transfer, the MTO. Try to pocket the maximum fees, the exchange rates offers to the end customers, right? Now, wait a minute, Mr. Blood, what are you talking about? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, you know how sometimes over here I be talking about, a little bit about immigration, and we were talking about how certain people come here and then they got problems with us as Black Americans, right? Think about this. Ever worked somewhere and there's been somebody who's been working at the company a lot longer than everybody else, but they not really in good favors with everybody, like they still holding on to their job because they've been there a long time and they really trying to find a way to get rid of their ass. That's kind of like how we are, right? Think about that. Where do we do, who gets to do remittance for us? Who of our people get to go somewhere and then send back money to help us in our conditions? Now, some people are like, oh, you selfish son of a bitch. Oh, you, look at you. You know, wait a minute, wait. We build the foundation, and we can see how everybody positioning themselves to make sure we can't get nothing. And then while they doing it, they allocating all their money back. It's kind of like saying that when we lived in these white flight neighborhoods. They flighted out, we moved in, they own the property, and then they allocate the taxes out of it and put it in their own nation, then we living in these dilapidated damn areas, right? So the same thing here with this money here, right? People coming from all around the world, these people that come here. Like I said, how did this become the country where it's the immigrant nation now, right? You come here, and they take this money and they build up other countries, right? And then you sitting out there and like, we ain't got nothing for you, man, right? I got nothing for you, right? Now, let me show you, or at least tell you, like I said, the money, look at the money aspect. These things are building up. They get more money sending back to other countries than they even give money in aid. There's more money given from people coming here who sending money back than the nation will even give a country aid. And then they're making all this money on the exchange of money. So look at it, you know, see, it's big business. That's it. What it say on your screen? Remittance business. That's a business every year. The next one is going to be in June. Every year, there's like a one specific time, all them going and they sending back. It's like a holiday, remittance day. Who remitting back to us? See? Constantly taking your blood, their property. That's like somebody come in our face talking crazy to us. Nobody, no respecting, because everybody know they come here to rob, steal, pillage, and everything. But we ain't supposed to say nothing. It's all good. Do as you please. Because this part of the game, why would we know that? Because we're not part of that. Unless somebody tell you it, and they don't tell you that, so you wouldn't know that. Come and taking, look at that, taken away. So why we see this place the way it is? You're taking out. You know, you keep taking, and nothing coming in. What happens? Right? So what's the exchange? Let you come take while they in taking your shit. The shit that you can't take and make nothing of it. So we're going to give you a job here while we go over there and take all your shit. And then we're going to make more money out that than what we're going to give you. And see, they didn't pass that minimum wage. Why are they not? You know they're not going to pay them. They're not going to do it because why? They got the replacements already. Yeah, they're going to give you 15 for when I can get a mug for 2, 5, 7, 8. I'm going to give you 15. You're replaceable. See, because that 5, 7, 8 is way more money in their land than it is here. Send it back, it's like you working 40 hours to do what you do. Send it back there, almost equivalent, because the money and the value is different. Now, this ain't no shot at nobody who should this, there's part of that. That's no shot at you. That's just the reality of it. That is the reality. People been doing this for a long ass time. Black people been sitting here, and then we have certain people sitting here saying the things that they do, talking about how we ain't supposed to be getting nothing because we okay, and everybody just, shoveling and taking. Now, I just seen the other day in the Congo where they found that gold. I don't know why y'all putting that shit on the damn internet, because they all coming. Watch what's gonna happen, y'all, in a few weeks. All of a sudden they're gonna, people over there got the virus. I'm gonna confiscate all that shit. Anyway. Like I say, our blood, their likeness, their property, right? That's all we just property, right? The way the whole game rigged is set up, we just property. No matter how everybody try to dress it up. Well, I know probably I got degrees. You know what I'm saying? I drive, I live this. Okay. You tell yourself that, right? So anyway, gonna be it for today, man. I just came with a little something in here, man. Just to, throw some fat to chew on, right? Let me see if anybody up in here, right? Johnny, what's that? Everhart, black do not have a particular country origin. Black is not a nationality or any people on the planet. Black do not belong to any language, family. Black. See, people like that talk like that. And I understand what you're saying. But let me ask you, see, a lot of people say, well, you don't have a nationality. They don't have no language in black and none of that. Okay. Is any of these places that are called to this modern day, is them the original places and names? Or is that somebody renamed you? Did you rename yourself? Do you have the ability to call and name yourself how you want to? Not defined by somebody who's more oppressing you. You can't take back and say, shit, nigga, I'm black. I self-determine, define what I say it means, not what you say it is. See, that's the problem. Y'all like running with that because they said so. Oh, you can't define nothing for yourself. Oh, as long as in the rules and regulations that they say and stamp approve, you gonna keep playing it. Then you always gonna be that. You gonna always be in that game. Y'all like playing there and all that they say, talking about I speak my language and got my nation, but you don't run, control nothing. That's all fluff, man. We gotta come to the realization of that. That sound good. All that sound good. But in application, like I be seeing mugs up on this internet talking about all kinds of stuff. They got the game down pat. Man, all you gotta do is go get, take your name back and this and that. Okay, when you do all that, how you gonna implement and get all that back in your control? How you gonna do it? You're not gonna be on here talking about it, but I'm just saying, how you gonna do that, right? They ain't no knock at you, brother, because I know there's a lot of people who say that, but I'm just saying, come on, man. I can self-determine what I want to call myself, right? It's like that one time I showed a video where the sister was on there talking about the sisters in here got these hood names. You need to change your hood name when you come in here because we're discriminating against you. Why? Because you programmed like that? You mean if a black person want to call themselves Shaniqua? Something wrong with that? Because why? What's wrong with them saying Shaniqua, Tequila, Bacardi, whatever the hell they want to call themselves? Oh, they got to have the name that is appeasing to somebody else to fall in line. You can't be of your own. You don't even know what your tongue, or again, we is being here. So to say black is unknown, right? Because you don't know what the hell your is. But you identify with that because there's a camaraderie that those who call themselves that, we know what that is. That's an unspoken understanding amongst us in that bloodline we come out of. When I say black Americans, those black Americans know who I'm talking about. Everybody else who don't know what that is, you still kind of on the fence and, I'm not black and I'm, okay, you ain't cut from there. Now the other stuff you trying to do, all right, fine, that's your business, man. I ain't here to argue with you with that. But that's what I'm saying, man. We got to get up out of that, man. You can't let somebody who writing your script, your life, self-determine everything about you. Means get away from a motherfucker, period. You know what I'm saying? You're in a relationship, you don't want to be dealing with nobody no more. You separate and get your ass away from them. You don't keep staying hanging around them and still saying, well, we don't deal with each other, but I still be. You ain't separate yourself from them. Your whole life is based on how somebody else interpret how you exist. That giving them the power. Well, we can't call ourselves black because it doesn't, in his law, right? His law. Trace that law going back far enough. Does that law exist before we exist? Did we write that? Was it Akabulan? They say Ethiopia, they call it the black land. You know what I'm saying? You say you're Moor, but then you take the Moor, go back to the Latin etymology, it's going to be black. Come on, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We be playing all these semantics with shit I don't give a fuck about what they, you know what I'm saying? Let me stop, man. I don't care about all that stuff that they talking about. You understand? Y'all keep playing that game with them and thinking y'all gonna get a different result. It don't work like that. You're gonna have to just say, man, look, if collectively, if we all say this is what it is, it don't matter what they say. It's how we define it, how we look at ourselves. We too scared to do that. We so scared they not gonna accept you because, and that's really boils down to you scared they not gonna accept you. Oh, there ain't no country and all that. Ain't no language calling that. You talking about nationality and law and all that? Man, my next show, I'm gonna take that law. Again, brother, I ain't saying nothing against you, this Johnny Everhart. I ain't talking about you. I'm just saying in general, because I hear people who say that. I'm gonna show you how that game, when you talk about that here and all around, how that game, the way they got that rigged up. Again, fraud with fraud don't make it legit. When it's all fraud, how you gonna legitimize something that's all fraud when you playing a fraud ass game? You self-identify, you self-determine what you want, and let everybody fall in place that they don't like. That's their business. How you identify? That's like saying those, okay, Nigerian. Now, is that an African word? Is Nigerian an African word? That's what I'm like. Is those African words, or that's the way that the pronunciation of the mother who came over there and said, British say, you gonna be called this? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't hear, it seems like none of the stuff that's over there is directly of the tongue and language of the people of the origin of the nation they in. It seems to be some derivative of something the other person can pronounce so he can say it. Don't really have that, because it should be in a way that you can't even really say it. But we can say it all because it can fit in the English easy. Right? But anyway, man, I ain't gonna get off that. But anyway, that's gonna be my show today, man. I just came in here to say a little bit of something here. Show y'all that again, our blood, their property, right? It's our blood, but we the property. And how the ones want to use your property is the way they're going to use it. Right? They got, just like you saying about name and stuff, the way the same thing they did with her. That she can prove that her biologic, her gene can tie in, that them is my peoples. That likeness, which is the same as my likeness, is that belongs to us. They say, no, according to this law, not the way that we wrote in this book. There's no standing in that. Huh? Just like you talking about that name, ain't nothing, you know. Yeah, well, it's no standing in his. Well, then that's what I need. Something that he ain't dealing with. You understand? But anyway, that's gonna be my show today, man. Don't tell you nothing that, don't think I came to you with any disdain to you, brother. No, I'm just talking about for those I be seeing that be saying that. I'm not saying that in that game that they play in that, there's no legitimacy to that. But I ain't trying to play his game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, somebody playing something you don't want to be playing, you want to be a part of shit, you just gonna do what you do. That's what they do. I ain't got to be a part of your shit because that's what y'all doing. And that's what I'm saying. We got this hound dog nonsense. Trying to be accepted by somebody, again, as I was doing the show earlier, showing about the girls, and they're talking about how polygynism, and showing how this, we being this and they being something different, to try to prove that the racial distinction between us. That's them created all that. But now all of a sudden, they say, oh, no, that's not true anymore. It was never true in the first damn place. Because you got to ask yourself this. And this is why they have a hard time with it. How do you prove if you say polygynism, right, to monogenism, right? So you try to say there was two different distinct existences of beings. So now you got to say, well, one is a orangutan, one is a chimpanzee, one, you understand? You got to do this and then the evolution and all this other stuff. Okay. They say monogenism, well, we all come out, and then they say Lucy coming up out of Africa and so forth, right? Now the question becomes, how, if they gonna say genetically, if the black gene is the dominant of the genes, then how did you come to be of your making? If there ain't no devolving in that. No, because what they're gonna say is evolution. You was the monkey that evolved until it got to us, and then we don't come from that. You ever see how they show that graftation of the monkey to turn into the white man? That's you. You the monkey that grafted in Neanderthal and returned to the white man. See, he ain't that. That's you. You understand? If you keep, that's what I'm saying, you keep playing the game he doing, that's the game you gonna play in. So anyway, enough talk with that nonsense. But anyway, it is what it is, man. Y'all take it for whatever y'all want to take it for. Again, this is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. To my next show, y'all, because I'm going to address that, brother. I hope you be back over here, Johnny A. Hart. So, to the next show, y'all. And to the next show.